Hi, I'm Liz Chavez, and I am an ESL teacher. I teach ESL, English as a Second Language, to kindergarten through fifth grade students. And this is a presentation about the importance of using multicultural children's literature in your classroom as well as in your instruction. This is the latest research out of the University of Wisconsin-Madison about the diversity that you will see in published children's literature. So in 2018, out of all of the books that were published, this is the breakdown of the different types of representation in children's literature. You'll see that 50% featured white books, 27% featured animal stories or other, and then only 10% featured African or African American families and characters and culture. 7% featured Asian Pacific Islander culture, families, and 5% Latinx, and only 1% Native, First Nations, American Indians. So if you're thinking about all of the books that are published, the huge percentage, or half, 77% of them are featuring or white-centered or have animals as characters, leaving a very low percentage that are featuring really the global majority of students that we have in our classrooms. And then I want to just provide some background. Dr. Rudine Sims Bishop is really considered like the mother of multicultural children's literature theory. She studied the importance of having books, what types of books that you read and how that helps you with your identity and self-affirmation and learning about others through reading. She came up with a theory that's often talked about as mirrors and windows. And so here on this slide, I have a mirror, and this quote speaks to what happens when you are reading a book in which you see yourself. So these books are called mirrors because you're reading a book and the characters and the culture represented in the book mirror your human experience. And so what that means to a reader. So I'll read it. It says, literature transforms human experience and reflects it back to us. And in that reflection, we can see our own lives and experiences as a part of a larger human experience. Reading then becomes a means of self-affirmation, and readers often seek their mirrors in books. So that tells us that one of the best practices is providing all of our students with mirrors. And we want them to be interested in reading, and we want them to build an identity as a reader and become self-motivated readers. We know that the best way to become a reader is to read, and one of the best ways we can get kids to read is to give them the opportunity to see themselves and the texts that are in the classroom, but also in the text that you're teaching with. The read aloud you use, the text you use for teaching content standards in literacy, as well as other content areas. The next quote you will see, of course, is the opposite. It has a window. And so the opposite of a mirror is a window. And so when you're reading a book, you're looking out and you're seeing another culture. You are seeing another perspective. You are seeing another experience. And that's also important as a reader. And what I find fascinating about this quote is this quote speaks to mostly white students having the experience of reading books about other students so that they will learn more about the perspective of other students, and so that they will see the humanity in other people's experiences, and that they will know that their experience is part of a multitude of greater experiences. It's not the normal experience. It's not the only perspective. That their perspective is one part of a multitude of experiences. And oftentimes we live in insulated communities. We go to, there's a lot of predominantly white schools. Our communities can be very segregated to a bit still. And so one of the ways, if you are teaching in a predominantly white community, or you have predominantly white students, you can expand their perspectives is by including multicultural children's literature. So this is a quote that really speaks a lot to that. So I'm going to read this one to you as well. I might need to move this up so I can see all of it. Okay. It says, children from dominant social groups have always found their mirrors in books, but they too have suffered from the lack of availability of books about others. They need the books as windows onto reality, not just as imaginary worlds. They need books that will help them understand the multicultural nature of the world they live in and their place as a member of just one group, as well as their connections to all other humans. In this country, where racism is still one of the major unresolved social problems, books may be one of the few places where children who are socially isolated and insulated from the larger world may meet people unlike themselves. If they see only reflections of themselves, they will grow up with an exaggerated sense of their own importance and value in the world, a dangerous ethnocentrism. That quote is also from Dr. Rudine Sims Bishop. So here it's just letting us know that having diverse literature is not only important for our Black and brown students, it is important for our white students as well. It's important for everyone for a multitude of reasons. And next, I'm just going to talk about the things that I consider when choosing multicultural children's literature, the things that you need to look for, the things to keep in mind, the things that